Hello, my friends. Welcome to our call-in show that we do on Thursday nights. It must be after 7 o'clock here Central Time. Just kind of a little administrative note as we get into our call-in program. First of all, the phone number is the most recent post for those of you that are subscribers, that are channel members over on YouTube. So thanks for those of you who are doing that. For those of you who are over on Locals, I have it pinned. It's a subscriber-only post as well. And if you are watching on X and you're an X subscriber and you want to call in, you have the same option. And I just reshared it there, so it should pop up in your feed if you go look for subscriber-only stuff coming from @KyleSerafin on the X account. I'm watching our connection status. So for full disclosure, I use a thing called Restream. That's the broadcasting connection. It allows me to stream into one place, and then they aggregate or they break it out and they send it out to YouTube and to Twitch. For some reason, I always share on Twitch, but like one person watches there. We go to Locals, we go to Rumble, and then we also go to X. And this morning and today, right now, this morning and this evening, I guess, Locals and Rumble keep kicking in and out. I'm watching the stream not stay steady. What happens is it'll go from a little green blinking health number, and then it moves over and says sending data, which means that there's some issue. It's not happening on the other places, so I know that's not happening on my end, and it's not happening to YouTube at all. It hasn't been. It hasn't happened to Twitch. So there's something wrong with Locals and Rumble on their receiving end. And that's not surprising to me. Unfortunately, although that's where the biggest audience is for our show, it's also the crappiest by a lot, folks. It's really dumb. They either just changed up their accounting situation, or they don't know how to do accounting, which is equally possible based on what I've seen from folks over on Rumble. But they shorted us a couple $100 last month, and then they did it again this month. So I'm just watching it and seeing that either they don't know how to do what they're doing. It also appears like we used to get 2,000 plus people watching us in the morning, and then one day, instantaneously, we got half the audience, and we can never break 1,200 live viewers over there in the mornings. Those of you who've been with this program for a while know exactly what I'm talking about. So I don't know if they're screwing with our stream, if they are manually doing it or doing it behind the scenes, but I may have to find another place to put the program. I'm going to continue to send it to YouTube, which is its own pain in the ass. YouTube likes to give us copyright violations for things that are clearly fair use, which means that we have an authorization to do so. In any case, the phone number is open for those of you who are wondering what I'm blabbing about over here. That's what's going on. I wanted to show you, we've got this brand new phone holder made of 4 beautiful types of wood. And I have Mr. Dan Van Natta. Is it Van Natta or Van Nauta? Mr. Dan Van Natta, I believe, made this lovely phone holder, which I have received. I figured I would just tell you here, Dan, that it has been received, and it looks pretty great in here. It's going to be super functional for what we're doing. And he has this really nice custom, burned label. I'll have to show you on the bigger screen here. Burned label. It says the Woodshed. Very cool stuff. We're going to get our first caller on the line, so I'm going to stop babbling for a second. We'll see what's on you guys, what you guys are thinking about. And, of course, I did not connect it, so hang tight for 1 second. Hang tight. I will get us booked onto the... There we go. I'm going to add you to the Bluetooth to the show, and then stay on the line there, caller. Don't run away. Remember, the rules are when you jump on the program, I need you to give me a couple of bits of information. I need to know who you are. I need to know where you're calling from, and maybe we could even do a new fun thing where we actually say, maybe we could actually add not just who you are, where you're calling from, but also maybe where do you subscribe? Are you on Locals or an X or a YouTube member? And who's caller number 1?
Would that be me?
You are caller number 1.
Okay, hi there. I'm Jan from Indiana.
Hi, Jan. How we doing?
Hi there. I am doing good. I'm the old cat lady.
You're an old cat lady? Did I call you an old cat lady, or did you call you an old cat lady?
No, I call myself an old cat lady and I begged you not to kill my cat. That's when we got started.
I think your cat's in safe shape.
Yeah, anyway, I am glad to talk to you, Carl. Your show has just been so interesting, and it's just been a real honor to be able to support you.
Well, I'm really grateful for the support. Sorry, you caught me mid-drink of some of my tea here. I'm grateful for the support, and it keeps me going in the morning because I need a reason to put my feet on the ground every day, and some days are harder than others, as you can imagine.
Oh, I can understand that. I retired about 6 years ago, and it's been an interesting time.
I bet.
Since I did.
What did you used to do?
Actually, when I retired, I was a Medicaid and food stamp caseworker.
Okay.
So that was a really interesting job. Gives you a real feel a lot of times about what's going on when I hear comments about Medicaid and food stamps. I have a little knowledge about what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
what sort of feelings do you have about the debate that's been going on of late?
Well, for one thing, as far as them cutting people off Medicaid, that's really not what's going on. And as far as there's just this big controversy about people having to keep reapplying. Well, you've always had to do that. It's always been at least once a year you had to reauthorize. Now, if they go to 6 months or something, well, that's just the price of having to get Medicaid. I myself have a form of Medicaid, I guess you could say. I'm involved in what's called the Medicaid Savings Program. Mm-hmm. And so I get assistance with that, and I have to reauthorize every year. In fact, I'm in the process right now. That's just what you have to do.
That's just how you get the benefit. That's what it takes then.
Exactly. You have to keep requalifying because things happen. So that's an easy thing. And we really never had much problem with that. And then as far as food stamps go, people seem to have this misconception that people just get these huge amounts of food stamps, which is not true.
Sure.
It is. One of my most memorable cases when I first started the job was a lady who had been recently divorced and she had 3 kids. She worked full time. She was just trying to get some assistance to get on her feet.
Yeah.
Well, don't you know, no matter how we calculated her income, she was 1 penny over the income limit, and she couldn't get anything.
You're kidding.
Even though she had 3 kids. No.
That's awful.
And, yeah, I mean, and I tried every legal, everything that I could do to try to get her under that, because you have to kind of qualify in 2 ways. First, you have to be under the gross income limit, monthly income limit. And then if you make that cut, then you get to take all of the qualified deductions off of your gross income. And then, depending on when your net income is, you have to be under that limit. And if you're not, you still don't get food stamps.
Mm.
And then if you are, then the amount of food stamps you get is calculated on how much income you have left. So nobody ever gets the maximum, except they did during COVID. They got rid of all the limits, and everybody got maximum.
Are there any programs where people are able to abuse that and claim something differently, or can they pool benefits, have multiple people in the same house applying, things like that? I mean, there's got to be some scams, I'm sure.
There can be scams, and the better your caseworker is, the harder it is to get away with it. Because
my guess is there's some that are not so dedicated. Is that fair to guess that there's some people that really phone it in like a government employee?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's just the way it is. But sure. It can be difficult, and people can report people, and if they do, then there's somebody that looks at all that. My sister actually worked at the state level, and she was a reviewer. And so what would happen is they would pull, randomized sampling cases, and her job was to review everything, review all of the questions that were asked at interview, make sure all of the verifications were there. And she would even ask that questions herself, but she would require people to send extra things in, and she would catch people. And then they'd lose their benefits and have to pay benefits back. And so there is a checks and balances, but with any big program, you're going to have people that slip through the cracks.
Sure. I'm sure there is.
But people do not get this insane level of food stamps that people think they do. Just for example, for a single person, now it's changed a little bit since I left, but the maximum amount of food stamps that a single person could get, if they qualified, with no income, was like $230 a month. That's all. Can you live on $230 a month? It's really hard to live on $230 a month.
It would be, no doubt. Yeah, probably nigh on impossible.
So when people talk about $600, $700, $800, $900, that's for people who have practically no income, have 6 or 7 children. But then even then, when your children get into school age, then there's some other requirements that go on. And so it's not as easy as it sounds. It really isn't.
That sounds right to me. That sounds like a lot of the stuff that we see is kind of like, info op / outrage, sort of farming, attempting to get people to get riled up about something. That would all make sense to me.
Mm. Yeah, well, the thing that used to rile me up is what they're doing something about now is that you could take your food stamps and go buy Coke and cookies and candy and all that. I didn't think you should ever be able to do that.
I agree.
And they're starting to change that now, which is good. But I did think that you ought to be able to buy, if you couldn't buy Coke or candy or anything, if you needed to buy some toilet paper, I think you ought to be able to buy that.
I think toilet paper is a reasonable thing to be able to buy. Yeah, it'd be nice if we actually had a confirmed. I wish that list was a lot tighter. The downside is I'm sure that list is heavily lobbied, since that's a lot of captive money, and so the soda manufacturers and all the junk food people want to get their crappy calories out there. But it'd be nice if you had nutrient dense calories only. If that was the requirement, I think people would be a lot more open to it. If you saw the cart full of good things. But at the end of the day, most of my day is not spent wondering how we can, punish or cut down on those things. I think a lot of that stuff I think it should be done with private charity. What do you think about that? I mean, individual folks, I think people would tend to give more. Can't imagine that the federal government's particularly efficient at this stuff.
No, well, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer of longstanding. So my whole thing about all these public assistance stuff, all of it is the reason that the government does it is because the church abdicated their responsibility to take care of the poor.
Yeah, and I wonder how much of it.
Take care of the poor, there wouldn't even be need for government to take care of the poor.
I tend to agree with you. I think it's probably twofold. I think that the fact that the government's got their hand in your pocket, people think that it's already handled too. So that's one of those negative feedback loops where people go, well, shoot, I'm already paying all these taxes, and I know they got the benefits program, so why are you asking me for more at the church? I always found that charity is a lot easier to give when you can look somebody in the face and you know that they need it. That's been true in my life. It's much easier to know someone's circumstances and know what it's going to, and you can be a lot more generous with that than some sort of faceless cause. I'm sure that's why they had Sally Struthers or whatever. So what was it? Was it Sally Struthers that used to do the feed the children thing, where they were always crying and they had flies in their eyes?
Oh yeah. Well, here's the thing. Even government programs. Now, maybe it's different in California or something, but in Indiana, being on food stamps never takes care of all your needs. It never does. You've got to find another way to take care of your needs because it is a supplement.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I upgraded our thing from last time. We had a 5-minute counter for callers, and I wanted to make it a little bit longer, so we did it a 10-1. I'm going to give you any closing thoughts you have, and then we're going to see if we can get some other people to come in and talk. And I appreciate you leading us off with an interesting, let's call it a correction on the record, if you will. What any final thoughts, Ms. Jan?
Well, actually, the reason that I wanted to talk to you was not about food stamps. I have a hometown guy that lives in my town that became famous in the FBI.
Oh.
He's a good friend of a friend of mine, and his mother was my teacher in high school. So I'm going to give you a real quick, I researched this just simply because of some things that you said.
Okay.
So I researched what happened. I'm going to give you a quick synopsis here. His name is John Pistol. He joined the FBI, he became a lawyer, and he joined the FBI in 1983.
Okay.
And he was an agent in Minneapolis at first in organized crime.
Mm-hmm.
Then this is the classic thing, you'll love it. In 1985, he was transferred to the New York division and was in mafia and crime.
Mm-hmm.
In 1990, he was transferred to the D.C. office, and he was a supervisor in the organized crime section.
Okay.
In 1994, he became a field supervisor in Indianapolis of white-collar crime and civil rights. Then in 1995, he was a representative to the State Department in Bulgaria to assess laws on Russian and Eurasian organized and financial crime. Then in 1999, he became the assistant SAC in the Boston field office.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 2001, he was promoted to the D.C. office. He was an inspector in the division that led evaluations and audits of field officers and HQ divisions.
Mm-hmm.
Then when 9/11 happened, he was and then in 2002, under Mueller, he was promoted to the Deputy Assistant Director of the Counterintelligence Division.
Mm-hmm.
And he did that until 2004. And then he was promoted to the Deputy Director under Mueller, Deputy Director of the FBI, which he stayed there until 2010. And the thing that I wanted to know was where he crossed paths with Comey, because after he retired from the FBI, he was the president of the local college here. And he brought Comey to the college to speak to the students. So that's what started me on this.
I see.
Well, in 2002, Comey became the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. There's the connection right there. Then in 2010, John became the first director of the TSA.
Oh.
And he retired in 2014. And then he became the president of Anderson University from 2015, and he retired this June. So he's a classic. I've done everything as fast as I can to get to the top of the FBI.
Yeah, we have a name for that. We call them blue flamers.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can tell from the very beginning, they obviously targeted him for going big places because he just went right up through the ranks. It was amazing.
The question was, or will be, and you can maybe tell me next week, what does he think about the FBI in the last 8 years since he's been out and he's been watching from the sidelines? Because I'm always interested to hear. There's two answers to that, and so I'm curious which one he has. It's almost they all go into one of two.
Yeah, I'll ask my friend to ask him because I have a feeling he's one of those protect the FBI at all costs. That would be my assumption.
I think you probably got a pretty savvy read there, madam. That sounds about right.
I think so too.
Mm-hmm. But you let me know.
I actually researched this all because of you.
I like when people go out there and find out what the data looks like, and it tells you a lot, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. tells you how corrupt they are. That's what it tells you.
That's fair. Okay. All right. I'm gonna open the lineup for the next caller. I appreciate you calling in. Thanks for leading off. That was a good story and also a good fact correction.
Hey, there you go. God bless your son.
All right. Thanks so much. Here, I'll give you one of these.
You just gave up a big nugget.
There's your big nugget.
Thank you.
All right, Jan. Thanks for calling in. Have a great night.
Bye-bye.
All right, that's one call in the bucket. Let's do another one here. What do you guys think? We'll take another call on the line. Okay, so caller number 2, you got to tell me who you are, where you're calling from, and if you will tell me where you're subscribed at. I'm curious as well. Go ahead.
Hey, Kyle. It's Dan from Wisconsin, and I'm subscribed to Locals, which I guess is part of the Rumble mess, but yeah.
It is indeed part of the Rumble mess. How you doing, Dan?
Good.
Oh, hold on. I'm playing with my new device here. We're gonna click.
Start the timer. Come on.
The timer has begun. 10 minutes on the clock. All right, my friend. What do you got for me tonight?
Nice. Oh, wow. So we can go 3 different directions I had in my mind. So you had a methylene blue sample from Alex, which is interesting. It had people curious, and I got some info on that, which is kind of interesting.
Okay.
You talked nitrates and nitrites. So that was kind of a cool lead-in and a really good point on, like, what do you trust? I am reviewing medical information and what's healthy, what's not. So that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could do like a whole, how far do you go down the rabbit hole conspiracy theory on who's immune? Wanted your take on the federal abilities to prosecute people, like from the Congressional Act of 1945 for international immunity. Excuse me. So
international. Okay, so I don't think anyone's going to be prosecuted, immunity or otherwise. I don't think anybody's going to do it. And based on the clown show of we just uncovered some documents in the dumpster, I just think that these guys are. My analogy today is Kash Patel got famous for doing Russiagate and for doing some investigations into that. And he's like the 40-year-old guy in the break room telling the women that work with him how many hot cheerleaders he used to hook up with when he was in high school, because he's now fat, sweaty, and he's single. So that's my take on the immunity thing. So we can cross that one off. I'm interested in the methylene blue. If you've gone down the rabbit hole for it, and you got some methylene blue stories. I've got a bottle sitting on a nightstand that I'm just looking at, going, I don't know about this. So tell me more.
Good reservation. So,
oh man, hold on. Hold on. We got a picture of me receiving it in the chat over on Locals. How fantastic. You guys are wild.
Look at that. Was it Renz?
And my face, my face is exactly what you think.
Way to go, Renzo.
Like. Strong work. Like, I'm saving. I'm like, oh boy, because he told me he was going to give it to me. All right. So fire away. Tell me about it.
Awesome. Okay. So I think it's important to preface with, like, alternative. It's awesome how people are waking up to alternative medicines, different solutions, and a different picture than the Rockefeller pill for every ill. I have something wrong with me. I take this, that fixes the symptom, and we're good. So
yes,
I think that's huge. So, but it's a really complex landscape. So as I got into methylene blue, one of the things, a lot of people tout it as it's getting more oxygen to your cells, ATP, you have this energy, and really the mental stuff is what they tout, right? Like this clarity and this focus and this energy. And it does get sketchy because you get some parallels with how it acts in your brain. Mm-hmm. It's an old chemical. It's actually one of the first pharmaceutical medicines that was developed in like 1876 or something.
Okay.
But the real catch is there's an enzyme in your brain that breaks down your neurotransmitters, like your endorphins, all the 4 positive, chemicals that you use for positive feedback in your brain, and it lets those persist. So if you get onto this, it's going to have the potential same drawbacks and side effects of SSRIs, of many other psychotropic medicines.
So it's a reuptake
wild,
type
right?
inhibitor that's going to eliminate the sort of positive and or negative feedbacks that are supposed to make you regulate yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea.
The main issue then, right? If that's, and I'm pulling a lot of this from Peter Breggin,
okay,
who's like an interesting figure. He and Malone had like got into this crazy lawsuit and all this stuff, but the basis for it seems fairly sound as far as the biochemistry goes. Mm-hmm. And the concerns are, like, in my mind, like SSRIs and and other things in that family are some of the most addictive chemicals, because once your brain gets that feedback loop, like it's not a narcotic in the sense of addiction. It's you go crazy without it. Like you have to be really careful coming back off.
So that goes into kind of a deeper thing. People have always gone for these cheat codes, or I keep seeing people do it. And so one of them is TRT right now. And I kind of make it in the same category of danger, because once you tell your body, hey, don't worry about producing this, I'm going to just inject it. Your body goes, okay, no problem. Your body is an efficiency machine. And so if it sees that there's a pathway to do it more easily, and this is being available without its work, it's going to shut down that pathway, and it's not going to be encouraged to be able to develop it. So you're much better off like chopping wood and doing things that stimulate testosterone than to inject testosterone, even though it's a longer route to it, because once you jump off that cliff, once you decide that you're going to solve the problem externally, your body will agree with that being a good option, and it will no longer try to even keep up. So you basically bought that for life when that happens, or you go insane because you stop, which is always terrible.
Yeah.
On any of these things, I imagine. Yeah, I look at it on the desk, and it's novelty, and I'm sure some people are interested in it. And I told Alex, he's like, can I give it to you on air? And I go, that's not me, dude. First of all, I react to things really interesting. Some things I react really well with. Some things I don't react at all.
Yeah.
I used to have massive reactions to caffeine when I was very caffeine naive. I don't do well with opiates whenever I've had any pain. And so I'd prefer the pain. And my brother called me when I was 25 or 22 maybe, and he just told me that my time for psychotropic drugs was over. And I didn't know that it ever began. So, people who know me well know that I don't dabble in chemical solutions. It's just not my thing. I don't even do pre-workouts. No. It's like they're like, hey,
it's such important.
Let's get you pumped. I'm like, I get pumped. I just think about things I'm pissed off at. There's a million of them.
Yeah. Learn to control the mental. And people being interested, I would encourage them to kind of check out some of the articles, both sides there. Because again, like you have to learn to filter for this and learn what to look for. And Bregan has some stuff that's like grouping in with a whole family of chemicals, and it's way worse than this. And I'm like, well, I think it's enough of a warning that it acts similarly in the brain to meth or coke. Like that should be enough of a warning sign. But he does overstate some things for sure. There's good studies out there, but just like everything else, the FDA not approving it is like, okay, so what? They also tell you how toxic comfrey is, and chlorine dioxide, and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? So it's a weird landscape to kind of weigh, but I would say anybody interested, they should at least kind of look at that article. It's not hard to find. So
no, I like that a lot. My quick looks about it and what it may or may not treat, I didn't fall into any of the categories of people who have that. I always told people when I was in the ER, when they would come in with problems, and they'd be like, I had a guy one time come in and tell me he had radiation burns, and I asked him why, and he said he had a radioactive implant that was leaking, which turned out that was mental illness, which it often is. But I looked at him for a few minutes.
See a nuclear reactor on an implant.
Well, and I told him there was only one nuclear powered person in the room, and it was me, and I was functioning properly, and he didn't know what to do with that. And I was like, I'm basically burning the eternal fuel rods of rage. I just dip them in, and we're always fired up here. So
that's epic.
It's fun times. See if you can touch the other one. What was the other topic you were going to hit me with?
Oh shoot. Just a bit of nitrates.
Yeah. Go. Let's
are they healthy for you? Is able.
Give me your read on that. I know you're a food guy.
Yeah, so kind of
grow your own food, man.
Yeah, kind of opposite side of that coin. Well, and I think so. Here's my quick summary. I think a lot of that comes down to, in my philosophy, like the things that were used for a very long time. I think we'll say ancient humans, like 2,000 years ago, were much smarter than we are, I would say, and their food preservation was done in very healthy ways, from salt cured and fermented and cheeses themselves. So I think that's kind of interesting. I don't think nitrites were part of that natural process, at least not as they're chemically derived today.
Well,
especially the stuff that's like from celery. Like that's wild what they're doing to extract it.
For sure. So the story is that the basic nitrites that people were using at that time were generally the add-on minerals that were part of salt. So they were doing a salt cure that also happened to have nitrites, and they actually think that's where the pink color from like Himalayan whatever mountain salts or whatever those are that they mined. Yes. So some of that stuff, some of those chemical
salts,
the chemically impure
are very
stuff,
good for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even sodium chloride, though, your body doesn't handle that all that well if it's a pure chemical form.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree with that categorically. Those salts were more complex. That is amazing for your body. But yeah.
What is your favorite salt? Were you the one telling me about Baja Gold?
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently, I have had Baja Gold.
Like, screw that.
Apparently, I've had it. Apparently, my wife regulates all of the the homeopathic chemical. She's my potion master.
I respect her that.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got the Celtic, whatever the Celtic thing is that we've got going on. We've had Baja Gold. She takes
sea salt. Yeah.
It's in a blue bag of some kind, right? With a little pinch top. Yeah, so she's the one who's.
I put salt in my coffee now. It's awesome.
That was my father-in-law's move, by the way. That was a Navy.
Goodness.
It was a Navy trick that he took.
The wrong box there.
You know what? He doesn't have all bad ideas. He just has some bad ideas.
Okay, all right. Phew.
Yeah, it's not. I don't just assume that the idea coming from him is necessarily bad.
Blanket.
It's just all of his ideas about finance or economics. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
That's good information.
Oh, very cool.
I think people will go out there and they will think some things. And what do we think? Is 10 minutes it's kind of a good little. It's a good little.
Yeah, it's a good window.
Right. It gives people some opportunities to come in here. We can kind of mix things up a bit more.
That's perfect.
I like
Otherwise, you and I end up in like a tirade and 20 different topics. So.
Yeah, that's right. We would get into the physics of boomerang performance, and people would fall asleep figuring out that they need to get one.
At some point, we're going there.
Yeah, we'll go again. All right, my man.
All right, man. Thank you.
I appreciate the call.
Absolutely. Bye.
All right. That's really good stuff. Okay, so there you go. There's the methylene blue is probably not going to make it off my countertop, but it is still sitting there. So thanks, Alex Jones. Alex should know better. I'm such a natural cure type guy, folks. It is not how I operate. There's almost no supplements. I remember I got it. They were essentially like diet pills. I think I was 25 and I got a little bit heavy. I think that's about right. 24, 25. I was working for Dell and I wanted to try something to get jump started in the morning. And I did it for a couple of days, but I felt like I could jump over the barbells. I thought I could jump over any of the racked equipment that was in the gym. And I was like, nah, that's not gonna cut it. No more pre-workout pills for Kyle. All right. Caller number 3. Tell me who you are, where you calling from, and where you subscribe, if you don't mind.
I subscribe to Locals.
Okay.
And yeah, so my question is, do you think a trans woman should be allowed to compete in women's sports if they take HRT?
All right, hold on. You got to tell me your name again one more time. Did I catch that?
Oh, my name is Zach.
Zach, yes?
Pronouns he, they.
Zach. All right, what's the query? Hold on, we're going to put the timer up. Should women be allowed to should women be allowed to compete in what?
Do you think, should trans women be allowed to compete in sports with women who are not trans if they are taking HRT? Like, should HRT be a requirement to be able to play in women's sports as someone who's assigned male?
I have to figure out what we're talking about. Born men identifying as women, is that correct? That's what we're...
Yeah, assigned male at birth, meaning that they were born with anatomical traits that caused them to be identified as male from birth.
Right.
And as adults, they live as female and have transitioned. And in this
So what hormones are they taking? Hold on. So these are biological men that are taking female hormones, and we want to know if they should be able to compete with women?
Well, they're biological women who have a different muscle development and body weight distribution of cisgender women because they are taking HRT.
Okay, but they're not women. They're men.
They are women, like they live their lives as women.
But that's not what a woman is, my friend. You're negotiating.
How do you define a woman?
Well, you can't. It's really easy. It's an adult human female. It's like what I'm married to.
Right.
So you can't you can't really negotiate with the biology of that. If I started taking hormones at any time in my life that was different than my own, I'd still be a dominating female. You know how I know that? Because I went and I identified as a female when I worked for the FBI for a little while, and they rated me against them, and I dominated every female in the entire FBI.
If you take estradiol, it biologically changes your physiology, like bone density and muscle distribution.
It doesn't change your DNA.
What do you think the role of hormones are in your body? So they would be more appropriately placed in women's sports, and statistically, they don't dominate.
Well, I don't care whether they do or don't. Their bone structure is going to be different. Their muscle density is going to be different. And at the end of the day, I actually don't care one way or another. We're talking about such an infinitesimally small group of people. Well, like, sounds like you don't get to play sports.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Trans people are a small part of the population, and they are widely talked about. So if we're going to have this public discussion, and there are dozens of states around the country that are passing laws that would restrict the rights of trans people to access health care, that would allow them to take HRT so that they could fairly compete in sports with other women.
Yeah, so I'm with you right up into the point. If you're a grown up and you can afford to take certain types of medicine, or someone wants to prescribe it to you, I don't really care. You're asking for my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't care what you do to your own body at a certain age, once you're at the age of majority. But when it comes to jumping into competitions where you are looking for we are trying to decide who is the best at something, you're no longer part of that field. The field is narrowly defined. There's all kinds of things that is not fair about life, and I don't think that this has anything. There's no fairness, and
okay,
and to me, it appears to be a mental illness. I'm not a scientist, but I know enough people that are.
Yeah, you're not a scientist because the American Psychiatric Association said it isn't a mental illness.
I know, but I don't believe what they have to say either. There's a lot of stuff they say that are silly.
Okay, so you don't take the opinion of professional medical organizations,
correct,
and their broad consensus that
correct. Yeah.
So you can say that you support the right of trans people to access gender affirming care when they're at the age of majority, but it's never been about that. The state of Oklahoma passed a law that would ban gender affirming care up until the age of 26, not even 18. And it's just...
What is their reasoning for that?
Because the brain is not developed until the age of 25 or so.
Do you agree with that?
And that was their... yeah, I agree, but you don't have to be fully grown in brain development to be able to make that decision.
Well,
I mean, it's between you and your doctor.
let's game that out. I actually, since we're talking about my opinion versus anything else, no one's going to uphold it, but I wouldn't have people vote until a much later age, and I wouldn't have people do a lot of things because people make terrible decisions in general, including when they're over the age of majority, including when their brain is fully developed. But people who are under 26, speak about myself and the people that I know, there's a lot of really bad decisions that get made before that time. So making a life-changing, sometimes sterilizing choice, I think that's not a terrible thing to wait. I'm sorry that people have such a conflicted problem and that they live in such a difficult space when they're feeling that way. But at the end of the day, I can be compassionate about them and also not want them to compete with my daughters, or if my wife were to get into sports, or any of my female friends that are athletic. I don't want people that have male DNA and male bone structure and a male upbringing and the entire experience of growing up as a male, and then they take some sort of pills and or injections and then they go and they compete. That seems crazy to me. That sounds like that.
You said that you didn't think that trans women should be able to access gender affirming care until the age of majority. If they are able to obtain puberty blockers before they go through that stage of upbringing, then they would not live their life as a male from a young age. They would develop as a biological female.
I mean, have you watched do you know a lot of people that are in the condition that they want to try to access a puberty blocker? You sound like you're probably older than most people going through puberty.
Community.
Where do you work? What do you work? What kind of work do you do in the LGBT community?
I am a registered nurse.
You're a nurse
in a LGBT center. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what sort of treatments do you guys do?
Estradiol, testosterone. That's been threatened recently because Trump has restricted federal funding, and there are organizations like ours that are being targeted for accusations of fraud if we bill it to their Medi-Cal or Medicaid provider.
Are you in California then? Is that right?
Yeah, California.
And so California is actually having a struggle trying to continue this stuff. In other words, California is having an issue with federal funds, but what about state funds? It seems like there's plenty of that they have.
Yeah, I know that the federal government has tried to pull funding for federally qualified health centers like ours that receive funding from the federal government and rely on them to do gender affirming care, and especially in clinics that specialize in trans services like ours.
Mm-hmm. And so the argument, I guess the question on the argument is, because we're talking about a very small subset of the population. What do you think the percentage of people that are dealing with this problem is across the 360 million people or 350 million people in the U.S.?
Around 1% are identifying as trans or gender nonconforming. And it seems more prevalent because I live in San Francisco and the LGBTQ population here is closer to 20%. And specifically trans and gender nonconforming people make up closer to 5 or 6%. And when you work in a community living space that provides specialized services for trans people, basically half the patients I see every day are trans or gender nonconforming.
Sure. So, okay. So then you got to make an argument. Why should I pay for that? I guess that's the question. You're asking for federal funds, or you think federal funds should exist. I don't have any say in it one way or another, but what's the argument that convinces someone like me? Why should I pay into it?
The protocols that have been developed for treating trans people are so extensive and well thought out and backed up by research as a means of discouraging death, depression, and bad mental health outcomes for trans people. And if you don't want trans people to die, then you should want this to be encouraged and supported for the means of trans people to access.
So that hinges on I think one thing or another about people that I've never met that have some sort of mental illness. What about veterans that kill themselves at a rate of 22 a day? I think there's a lot more of them.
So being trans is a mental illness as defined by the DSM, every medical and psychiatric professional organization that's reputable in the Western world. It's like you're calling it a mental illness, but you don't have any basis for that assertion.
I kind of do, though. See, I supported my wife going through her master's. She got a dual master's, and the DSM actually did used to categorize it as a mental illness, but now they don't, just because they've updated their findings.
They used to categorize a lot of mental illness, and that was based on bigotry and not based on evidence of the real experiences of LGBTQ people.
I think it was based on reality. You just said it was bigotry, but there's that evidence that's the case. You could state something. You can cite. I mean, what you're doing there is an argument or an appeal to authority, right? You're talking about people that I don't respect as authority. So at the end of the day, that doesn't convince me.
You don't respect every accredited, reputable scientific and medical
Correct.
organization.
No, I watched them lie to us. So that's
wrong.
Well, that's basically been the probably at least a third of this country has realized that a lot of these institutions have discredited themselves over the last 5 years. And I think most people look at it, sensible, reasonable people, and go, yeah, these aren't great ideas. These people don't have our best interest.
Would you agree that you're not qualified to diagnose mental illness?
I would agree that I can decide what to spend my money on. And if you asked whether or not I had a problem with spending money on that, I wouldn't want to spend money on that. And if people kill themselves all the time.
You don't have to personally agree with every healthcare decision that's made between patients and their providers. I mean, even if it's federal funding that is going into it, it's really the patient's business and the doctor's business. And like, you may not agree with like a COVID vaccination, but that shouldn't be a reason for stripping federal funding for that. I mean, healthcare has to be federally funded.
No, I don't think it does. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna challenge you for this, Zach, and that was our 10 minutes. So we're gonna fade out here, but I'm gonna give you, show me either in our chat or share it on social media. It's at Kyle Seraphin. You can tag me in any post. I'd be happy to read it. Show me where in the Constitution the federal government is charged with providing health care and what sort of clause that would fall under, because I'm fascinated to know for that justification. And if you don't have it right now, if you know it off the top of your head, by all means. But if you don't, that's the homework, and I'd love to hear from you next week about it.
Okay. I'll speak to you next week.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. All right. That was a big nugget.
You just gave up a big nugget.
Zach, I appreciate the call. I appreciate the discussion. I'd rather talk to people that don't agree with me and do it politely. That was totally Totally appropriate. That's fun. Who else is going to jump in on the line here? You guys know the phone number. You have to be a member over on Locals. You could be a member over on YouTube, or you can be a member on X. We have a pretty inexpensive thing on X if you guys want to join and be wild over there. This chat if you guys are watching the screen, the chat has gotten much more interesting when people don't say things that you all agree with, doesn't it? That's fun. I actually, I prefer to have interesting conversations with people that say things or think things I didn't. And having lived in San Francisco is a different place. I don't know if I could do it today, but I did when I was younger. Babs is upset that she lost 10 minutes of her life. Babs, you could call in too, but you didn't. So that's just what happens. The phone is open, and we'll take a couple more calls tonight and see what else is on y'all's mind. We've gone through the gamut now. So I'm going through the list. We had Jan tell us a little bit about Medicare and Medicaid and scams that do or do not exist, and gave a blue flamer's history, if you will, or the story of a blue flamer that she knows. Again, the term blue flamer is a very specific FBI term that denotes people who turn on the afterburners and get to the top of the corporate ladder there, or the government ladder, if you will. We had Dan give us a little debunk or tempering knowledge on methylene blue, which I appreciate, and some nitrate and some preservative discussions. And then Zach. So caller number 4, you got a high bar to jump over. I need to know who you are, where you're from, and where you subscribe.
This is Renzo. I'm from the People's Republic of New York, and I subscribe to Rumble and Locals.
You're a savage, Mr.
And
Renzo.
YouTube and X.
Are you subscribed everywhere? That's not necessary. You don't need to do that. I appreciate you, but that's not necessary.
Not really on X. I just follow on X. I get a little confused with the subscribe and follow. It's like, crazy.
Luckily, none of them have the same terminology everywhere you go, so it's always a little different. All right, hit me with what you got. What's on your mind?
All right. So I know that you're not a proponent of Bitcoin. Am I correct?
I do not have any Bitcoin.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just propose to you, if I said to you that there was a currency that has a set amount of how much the currency is, as opposed to a currency where some government could say, we're going to print, X amount more because we need to spend all of this in order to pay for our debt.
Yeah, you're talking about scarcity.
Would you invest in the one with the set amount or the one that has variant amount?
Yes, no, I agree with you in principle about scarcity. I just don't believe in Bitcoin as the solution to the scarcity problem.
Well, I'm not just saying Bitcoin specifically. I'll rephrase. Stable coins.
Stable coins seem like they're pegged to the value of the dollar, though. Isn't that the story? Is that there's a finite amount of dollars they're worth, so it actually fluctuates in the same way that the fiat currency does?
Exactly, right? So now, my whole point is the only way that we could structurally fix any of our problems with our country is to peg our currency to some type of asset that are have a value.
Mm-hmm.
So now, generally, we sort of do that, I guess, depending on how people look at things.
Well, we did.
Currency.
Yeah, we did. And now I would suggest to you that the thing that we peg the value of the dollar to is not what it was, but it's still a thing that can be, if not measured, it can be at least sort of quantified in the world. Hear me out on this one. It used to be that we pegged our currency to gold, right? And and the reason is because there's a finite amount of gold in the universe, at least that we can access, and there's a difficulty to obtain it, and so that it has scarcity, which is the thing you want. It's tangible and it's portable, so you have the things that you require for currency, right? All right. And then we got off the gold standard, which seemed like a really bad idea, but that was before my time, so I can't change that. So now we have a different standard, because there used to be this, I remember seeing a meme of this. It's kind of funny, but also true. I'll get your take on it. It used to be that we were tied to the value of gold. Today, the American dollar is backed up by the capabilities of the United States military. It's aircraft carriers, projection of strength, domination in cyberspace and space. That's what it's based on. It's the ability to project force, which is not the same as gold, obviously, and it's harder to quantify. But as long as the United States still has the strongest capable military in the world, then that's kind of what it's on. That was the argument that I heard. That was convincing to me.
Well, that's the whole thing, is because a jet fighter has a certain value to it. Like an automobile has a value to it, like a Jeep or, real property or any of the things that are owned by the government or the Department of Defense.
Well, we're dancing with the two words. The words you're talking value. When I hear value, I think dollars or some sort of monetary. I think what you're also suggesting, because it's useful, is that there's utility to them. They can be used in a very specific way. So they can accomplish a mission, they can transport something, or, drop ordnance or whatever. So there's a utility that goes along with it.
But that's part of the value. Because if I sell an airplane to Iran or to Iraq or whatever, I'm saying, hey, you can use this airplane to drop bombs. Yes. So now you're going to give me more money, as opposed to the airplane that doesn't drop bombs.
All true.
So
yes.
There's a certain value to that. So, like, the way we look at it is the way our economy is set up is for our government to actually acquire more assets in order to back our currency, in order to keep our currency stable. Because our Congress can't stop spending on ridiculous condoms in Africa and stupid crap like that. So that devaluation of the currency has to be, incorporated into some type of asset. So when people are like, well, we spent so much on the defense and they want to build all of this and they want to spend all this money, I look at that as a net value increase, as opposed to they want to spend more money on Social Security or Medicaid or Medicare. So now, like, I keep hearing everybody say, they're not cutting enough, they're not doing this. Oh, this rescission package only cuts $10 billion. That's like 111.0001. Well, everybody's right about that. I'm like, the only way to really make consequential changes to the structure of how our budget is run is to go through mandatory spending, which no politician will ever do, because they know they won't get reelected the minute they say, well, we're going to cut Social Security by 30%. So instead of Congress deciding to come up with an idea on, hey, you know what? This Social Security is a Ponzi scheme that's destined to fail, like every Ponzi scheme has ever been destined to fail. And I work in bankruptcy dealing with Ponzi schemes on a daily basis. Know that this is a Ponzi scheme waiting to fail. Yeah. So then when people are talking about, well, look at this spending bill and blah, blah, blah. Okay, look at it. Let's take out whatever they're mandated to spend on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and tell me what we're arguing about. We're arguing about $9 billion.
Is that all it is?
Well, I mean, it's obviously more than that, but I'm saying that, like, in general, like, what we're really arguing about and what that's the PSYOP. Let's argue about this $30 million or $300 million so that this way we don't have to talk about Social Security.
Yeah, the $3 and $4 trillion liabilities we have, you're talking about.
Exactly.
No, I totally agree, which is why people were like, yeah, the tariffs is super successful. We're going to get $300 billion. And that's 0.4% of our budget.
Because, again, Trump and them are using the tariffs to fight against the small little portion of discretionary spending that everybody is arguing about every year.
Yeah. Well, this is the same. This is the same discussion my wife and I have. My wife and I will be like, she'll be looking at something. She'll be like, I want to get this whatever cream at the store at Natural Grocers, and it's $9. And I'm like, holy crap! Like I would buy the $5 version of it. And she's like, So when she gets there, she looks at it, and I go, honey, let's just be real. The $4 differential between that cream or the other cream is not going to ever make or break us. That's just not the way that we live our life. So we're arguing about something that, like, you know, as long as I don't really know about it and I'm not the one pulling the trigger on it, I actually don't really care. Let's be totally real. What is your convincing? Because Ryan Matta has spent hours trying to convince me into Bitcoin, and I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't need it. I'd rather have ammo and guns, and I'd rather have like a freaking sharpening stone for a knife. So tell me. I'll give you a 60-second win. I'll give you maybe 2 minutes here if you want. Give me the Renzo pitch for Bitcoin and why I need to put money into it.
Here's my pitch for Bitcoin.
Okay.
The first Bitcoin I bought a little bit of Bitcoin because Donald Trump decided to send me a check that I didn't need for some fucking stupid pandemic that was totally a bunch of bullshit.
Yes.
And I said, what am I going to do with this $4,000 Trump sent me? I don't need this. So what are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let me buy some Bitcoin with it.
Okay.
And now that Bitcoin that I bought for $4,000 is worth something like $20,000.
Okay.
So now that $4,000, had I just said, hey, you know what, I'm going to leave it in my bank account, would actually be worth $2,000 now.
you got a...
That's my pitch for it.
Your pitch is that it appreciated as an asset and it had more value. You just gotta vote for a few more minutes here. We're gonna continue the Bitcoin combo here, so let's do that.
And I kind of feel like
it's valued.
Again,
it's valued in dollars though, and it's really volatile.
Yes,
like Bitcoin could drop. It could drop 15% tomorrow. Could it not?
Yes.
So
and you know what? It would still be 200% worth more than what a dollar has because of the inflation, because Congress can't stop spending money.
No, they're clearly I think we don't disagree on the problem at all. This is the kind of the same conversation.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I like Andy Scheckman and the analysis. He and I kind of see that similarly. There are things that obviously have they have portability, scarcity, and they also have that utility. So gold can actually be used in commercial processes, right? But the stability.
But this is the thing. Bitcoin is a utility that's going to grow. Everybody that uses Apple
what is the
Pay,
inherent value?
Pay.
What is the inherent value of a Bitcoin?
Okay, I'll say this to you. What's the inherent value in shares of Chase Bank?
Oh, none. I think that the stock market is like a freaking roulette table, man.
Okay.
I think it does the same thing. I think you're not wrong. It's a much bigger platform, and I actually have the same problem with Bitcoin that I have with the stock market. You want to hear what it is?
Mm-hmm.
And I have decent returns in the stock market. I just looked at my thrift savings account. It's up 9%.
I hear you, dude.
Yeah, it's up 9% for the year. I think I didn't look, but it was like 14% for my 401k. So those numbers, and those are mostly in mutual funds and index funds. So all of that to be said, those look to me like a casino where we're sitting at the table and the house always wins. So we'll call the house the government because they're screwing us over.
Yeah.
And while the house is always winning, there's also people that are at the table that are playing on behalf of the house or with information or money from the house that I don't know. I'm playing against them as well. So they've got other shit going on. And here I am, the lowest information person sitting at the table. And I feel the same thing about Bitcoin. It's like they're both casino games of which I have the least amount of information. And at any moment, they could be dramatically, manipulated to the point where I'm pushed off the table. That's what I think.
But see, this is what I see. I was exactly like you 5 years ago.
Okay.
And, so 5 years ago, I was exactly like you. And then I said to myself, you know what? How did the Microsoft, schmuck, what's his name? Bill Gates. How did he get rich?
Mm-hmm.
You know how he got rich? he got rich off a bunch of code.
Mm-hmm.
I said to myself, you know what? This Bitcoin, what they're doing is what every bank in every single nation throughout the world is going to be doing in 10 years. I have not used cash money in I don't know how long. I go to places where they tell me, sorry, we don't take cash money.
Right. That is
so
weird.
Now
I hate that.
I'm thinking to myself, okay, so I need to, I was never a proponent of getting into the digital world. I was forced into the digital world because it was like, you can't do this unless you learn how to do this. You can't do this unless you do it online. This is what they forced. People like my mother call me all day. Like, can you please help me? They told me I have to go to this doctor portal to see my results from my colonoscopy, you know? Like,
oh, yeah, I hate that shit, too. Oh, that nothing makes me madder than that. I won't even go, but luckily I don't go to doctors, so I don't have to get results from anything.
Yeah.
I won't go. I don't want your results portal. Print it off. Tell me what the hell's going on.
Unfortunately, I have to deal with that. You know, that's what we do to the parents when they
that's some boomer shit. Can I tell you some boomer shit that I just dealt with today? I had to tell my mother that I was not going to call her anymore with video chat of her grandchildren unless she turned off the auto answer on one of her devices. Whenever I called her, her iPad would automatically pick up and I would look at her ceiling and she would run. I would hear her running around the house going, I don't know where my phone is. It's somewhere around here. I'm wondering. And I'm just going, you've got to be shitting me. Turn off the auto answer. And she was like, I didn't do it. I didn't turn it on. And then today she told me under threat of losing the grandkids that she turned it off. So I'm not sure, Mr. Renzo, I'm not sure you sold me on the Bitcoin. I'm going to give somebody else an opportunity too if they want to do that because that's always fun. I'm such a contrarian that even you trying to tell me makes me want to not do it more.
I know. I'm like that too, and I feel like I missed the opportunities because of that. And so
my theory is, if I really need Bitcoin,
I'm going to be a proponent of.
All right. If I need Bitcoin in the future, I'm going to find people who have it, and I'm going to take it from them by force, and then they're going to find out how secure their wallet is. That's what I think. Because I've got 50,000 rounds. I got 50,000 rounds of ammo in my. I got 50,000 rounds of ammo sitting in the garage that are just waiting to find something to do. So I feel like that, and I can buy a cheeseburger with like two 308 rounds. I think, and we could find utility there. We'll pick this up again.
See, that's the thing too. I've been stocking up on that too because those things are going to be extra valuable more than Bitcoin.
Shit, yeah, they are. Yeah, like I said, utility. We're going to actually talk about that tomorrow morning. So definitely listen tomorrow because I'm going to have some people come on and have a little discussion about what we think might be coming. Worst case scenario, and I think it'll be interesting. Okay, let me be respectful. Take one more call. You're a good man. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for debating with me about something I don't know that much about.
Great. Thanks for taking my call. Have a great night, man.
All right, have a great one. All right, there's Renzo. He's gonna try to talk me onto the Bitcoin train. Man, you guys are gonna have a hard time with that because I just don't think there's any inherent value. I just don't. I don't. It's not that I don't understand the principle of it. It makes some sense. But I don't see where it was going. Sorry, what are we looking at here? People are letting me know 300 billion is 4.29%. Maybe my numbers were off. That 4% is better. But I swear that we were talking about something. Let me find out how many numbers were coming in for the tariffs. There was a claim that they might get $100 billion, or maybe they've got 100 billion. Maybe it was 300 billion. So maybe we're talking about 4% of the budget. If you guys are not seeing what's on the chat, that's what was going on over on the Rumble side of the chat. $300 billion is 4.29% of 7 trillion. The real possibility is that I had not enough room for 7 trillion in my calculator, or I accidentally pushed an extra zero or something. So yeah, okay, 4% is actually more of the budget than not. All right, so we got probably room for one more call if that's good with you guys. It's still daylight here. All right, got to tell you this too, because yesterday I'm still trying to shake off the edge of this dehydration headache. It was 110 degrees outside, and I had a lady on Facebook Marketplace, which I'm loath to say is very useful, and I rolled into my truck, and I drove to their house, and I disassembled like this 8.5 foot tall cedar play thing. It's like 4 foot by 4 foot base, so 4 foot square, and then it goes up about 8 feet. And I took the roof off it, so it was about 6.5 feet tall or something like that. And I carried the damn thing, and I took off the post that was the cross beam for the swings, and pulled apart the A-frame and took off the slides, and I carried all that crap, and I got it all in my truck, which I was actually really excited about. Drove with the tailgate down and a little couple of tie-down straps across it. And it was 110 degrees when I drove over there. It was like 105 by the time I actually picked the damn thing up. It was 103 when I had it all loaded an hour and a half later. And then it was still 101 degrees at like 8:30 or 9 o'clock when I, oh, we just lost our caller. We had somebody on. You were on the line, whoever you were. You just called in. I was about to bring you up. Anyway, ended up having the damn thing built last night and got chewed up by mosquitoes. So nothing worse. 110 degrees down to 101 degrees. The lights go out, and as it's getting darker, the freaking bugs came out and chomped me. So I've got ankles and lower legs just covered in little bug bites and whatnot. But I've also got kids who got to be on a swing this morning, and they were super excited. They got up early and they decided to do it. Okay, this is caller number 5. Tell me who you are, where you are, and where you subscribe, if you would. Can you hear me? Caller number 5. Chickadee check. I don't think we can hear you. We lost you, or you lost us. Could go either way. All right, so I'm keeping track of the names here, folks. We had Jan, we had Dan, we had Zach, we had the famous Renzo with the laugh. We're all over the map today. All right, like I said, one more call if you guys want, and then I think we'll call it an evening. I'll give you kind of the tease for tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to be bringing Mr. George Hill. It's been kind of a little while since we've had George Hill. We're going to talk a bit about FBI whistleblowers that got settled with, which is not very many of them. They're not getting reinstated. I guess one guy that I do know got reinstated.
+1 704.
He got reinstated, and it's, we'll see how long he lasts there. Okay, caller number 5. Can you hear me this time?
Yes, I can.
There we go. Okay, I need to know who I'm talking to. It's Rose. Rose, where are you at in the world today?
In North Carolina.
All right, so you're at home. Are you about to? Are you
I'm
about
everywhere. I'm Rumble, Locals, X, whatever.
You're an animal.
What's that?
I said you're an animal. Are you about to depart on a wild road trip? Is that what I hear?
In August, yes.
Okay.
I think I'm going to push it a week because your pet parents don't get home till 22nd, so.
Where are they?
I might push it a week.
Where are they going?
They're going to Wisconsin, the woods.
How do you know about that?
I talked to your mom.
I know. That's too funny. Okay. Here's the thing you have to understand about me, Rose. I do know that my mother told me that she was going to Wisconsin, and then I immediately forgot about it because it wasn't me and it didn't have anything to do with me. It's kind of like when my wife tells me something and I'm like, yeah, just
get out of your head, Paul. Get out of your head.
It's not affecting me, and I have minimal bandwidth for things that I it's outside of my range.
I get it. Yeah.
All right. What do you got on your mind tonight?
That's why I need overnight. Oh, I was just going to actually talk about the In Real Life tour.
Whoa. Not everybody listens to the show every day. You got to tell people what the In Real Life tour is. Come on.
Oh, Kyle Seraphin Show In Real Life tour. I've visited I think it's up to 8 or 9 people so far in real life, not just online. Going this trip in August will be through Georgia, on to Austin, to Arizona, and then depending if Erica's coming with me or not, we'll come back through the farther southern states.
Which Eric? Eric Jason Eric?
Yeah.
Is he going to roll with you?
He's going to roll with me, maybe.
That was
I've been
a
trying
double
to get
entendre.
him. Exactly. He's in Fort Myers, so I'd go pick him up there and then come up and head over that direction.
I like it.
Yeah, we've been trying to plan this for a while, but I'm not sure if I'm going to wait for him for this round. I got another couple rounds planned. But,
Eric's in the chat right now. Hey, Eric, you got to get your shit together, man. If you want to roll with Rose, you like when the train leaves the station, you better be on board. That's the rule.
That's right. I'm going to come pick him up and just drag him out.
What's he going to do?
I can grab his chair and roll him.
That's right. He could hit the brakes. That's about it. I bet you.
Yeah, I've seen him times now.
I bet you Eric's pretty formidable with the forearm strength. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. He's got forearms.
That's my guess.
Yeah, he's got some definitely arm muscles. Everybody thinks he's so rough. He's actually a sweetheart and blowing his cover.
No, I assume that as well too. But only to people that need to be nice. That's the nature of most men that I know that are.
Just don't piss him off.
Yeah.
He's real nice until you piss him off. But we have that in common, so
I'm for
we're
it.
good.
All right, lay it on me. Tell me the dates again. When are you thinking you're going to depart the when are you going to be in this area? You said you're coming this way.
We'll probably get to Texas around the 20th of August.
20th of August. Okay, so we've got to figure out if we can get.
What day is that?
We should be able to get Mr. Tack Penis together with Mr. Whatever 007, right? There's a couple of others that are in this area. Who else is in this area?
Yeah, there's a few.
Do you have a roster?
Those are the two main. Those are the two main ones. See, let me check my list. I don't have it. I know I've seen other people saying text. I try to grab them in chat, like if somebody says they're from a particular place.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the next big trip will probably be up the East Coast. We got Babs in Pennsylvania and all that. Nicole and her T-Mom. I mean, Nicole and T-Mom are in Pennsylvania. There's a few up by Garrett. Anyway, back to this trip. So we'll probably go. We'll go across. If I'm going to return Eric home, then we'll go back across through probably Mississippi, Alabama, the general area. If I'm coming back to North Carolina, I'll go across.
What's the alternative to not bringing him home?
I'm going to bring him home with me.
It's gonna hold on.
He's got a place in North Carolina too.
I don't hate that. You'll notice something interesting. We've got a Sunday sit down with a guy named Barry Ramey coming up. He's a friend of Enrique Tarrio's, and he's he's an interesting guy. But I was finally able to mount, and first I had to repair certain piece of lighting equipment. So
I need that.
It will make its first appearance this Sunday.
Woohoo!
We won't even tell people what it is. I went and
I'm not going to talk about it.
No, I mean, I'll describe it or I can explain, but we'll let them guess what it is. I had to actually pull all the LED lights. I put in the same ones that I use on the wall behind me. And so they're all on the same sort of Bluetooth links and all that kind of stuff. So I can manipulate it from the, what do you call it? The same app. So I can change color and color wheel and intensity and all that kind of stuff now. So that was a little bit easier. The battery, it did not survive. When it got here, it must have been turned on. And it also got beat up really good. So I pulled it out, stripped it, added some new lights. And now it's pluggable. So that's unlimited power, and it just stays on in the back corner of the room where it goes. You know what? Hold on here. Hold on here, Rose. For those who are watching, they may actually be able to see what I'm talking about. Let's see if we can check this out, folks who are watching. Look at that. Did you see? Rose, can you see your screen with no audio on?
I'm on my other device. I can see a screen. I can't see the other
give it a second.
setting that's set though.
It'll refresh.
Oh, there we go.
What do you think of that?
I see it. I see it.
Pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
That's where it landed.
What color do you have it on? Yellow?
It's like a yellow.
You got white or yellow?
Yeah, it's like a yellow.
Yeah. The teal looked pretty cool in it.
Yeah, I'm going to play with a couple colors. I started with something that I knew would show up, and from there, we'll figure it out. But that's okay. Oh, it looks like I messed with my number here. There we go. So yeah, okay. So we're going to do a trip. We're going to do the IRL tour, and we'll see how many people. So that means you need to start querying people in the chat. How many folks in the general Austin area? And depending on the number, we'll figure out somewhere that we can all hang out.
I'll do a post on locals when it start getting some ideas of who's going to be where. And
I like that. That sounds like a good idea. So if you're a normal Rumble user and you generally are not over on local, sign up for this. I think you can just straight up go over there. Use the same chat name. Make sure you've joined us over on locals, even as a free member, so you can be part of the post that Rose is going to put up, and we'll coordinate something for the people in this area and the other areas that she's doing in real life tour, which is very funny to me.
Yeah.
It's funny.
It is.
It's funny that you've probably.
I'm part Hungarian. I'm 60.
Well, it's probably because you've probably met more people that listen to the show than I have.
Probably.
Stands to reason at this point.
Some of the same ones too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I've got some on the same list, and I think you have more.
FBI Panty Raid, Lorianne. I'm not sure all who you've met, but
I'm not sure who all I've met either. There's also some people that come and tell me that they listen, but I'm not sure that they actually listen to me. They may also just hear me on other people's shows, which is kind of funny. It is what it is. All right.
Yep.
What other you got any other nuggets to drop on us other than your pending road trip across America and your potential kidnapping of Eric Jason?
No. All my stuff he's pretty much covered.
I love it. We need to get Eric to call in one of these days. He's going to chat with me.
I've been trying.
Well, or you'll just bring him here. That's also a possibility. So that'd be okay too.
Right.
All right, Rose.
I'm
gonna give you the opportunity to tell me how many calls. Do we take one more or not?
Give them a couple minutes. If nobody calls, then you can stop it.
All right. Looks like somebody was actually just trying to get in right there. So we'll
okay, cool.
We'll ring off, as some old people I know say. I don't know what ring off means, but we're gonna ring off, and we'll take one more call. You've heard that before, though, right? Ring off.
I've never heard that.
Okay, I don't know who says that to me. Then I feel like it might be my father. It might be my father, so it might be like a Midwestern thing.
I've heard ring up somebody.
No, they said no. I'm going to ring off now.
No. I'm from the Midwest. I've never heard that.
All right. Somebody tell me where that came from. Let's go ahead and take this next call. Rose, to be continued. Look forward to hearing the update, and we'll talk again very soon.
All right. Last night. Bye.
All right. Have a great night. Okay. We got another caller on the line here. Fish on the line. Let's say, tell me who you are. Tell me where you are. Tell me where you subscribe, if you don't mind.
Oh, hi. Yeah, I'm Water Baby on the channels that you see me on. I'm a subscriber, and I'm glad to get through. I'm calling from Brooklyn, New York. I'm outside in the rain.
What are you doing outside in the rain in Brooklyn, New York?
It's not that bad. It was pouring earlier. It was flood alerts, but right now it's not too bad. I'm sitting under a tree.
I did see that there was some possible floods coming in the Northeast in general. Yeah, so not happening yet.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was, and it probably is going up into the state, but the city's just like a normal summer rainstorm. I'm glad to get through. I really appreciate your channel. I've gotten so much from it.
I appreciate that you have. Tell me what are some things you remember getting away with? Like what brought you to us in the first place?
Oh goodness, maybe the FBI angle, the whistleblower angle, because I've got some whistleblower in my timeline apparently as well. So, and then I just learned a lot about the details of what you all are dealing with and what you're dealing with now that I didn't know, and I've come to appreciate more and more. And then I really appreciate the community that you have on here.
It's a real
comments and the support.
It's a really interesting group, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I just tuned in. I just dialed in. I was on the train coming back from the city just now, and you were in the middle of the trans conversation, and it was wild because it was cutting in and out. And from what I could hear, you were handling it in a really balanced way. I really appreciate just, your openness to doing that, but also standing up for what you believe. And, it was a great conversation from what I could hear.
I appreciate that. I mean, I look forward to hearing, a lot of the things that we think are supposed to be done, and people are emotional about stuff that, and I get that, like the question is or for me, you got to convince me that I care about it in any way. It's not that I don't mind that we don't agree. I think if we all agreed, we'd all be nuts. That just doesn't happen. You live in a city of what? How many people live in New York City in the 5 boroughs? Is it 12?
I think it's 8 million, but I think something 13 million plus come through every day.
Right. So you
that's
got
kind of the number that you actually deal with as a New Yorker. You're dealing with, 13 to 20 million, going back and forth.
Yeah.
With you every day.
Yeah, and you probably agree with 75 or 80% of the things that are going on, the normal things like you need to wear.
In New York? No, not at all. No, not at all.
I bet you do, because I'm talking about real simple basic things like we should all eat something once a day at least.
Oh,
we should put on pants. No shirt, no shoes, no service kind of stuff. Like I think a lot of the basic things you do.
Yeah, I don't want to see your plumber's crack, and I don't want to see, lady crack when I'm doing stuff, and basic stuff like that.
Right.
I wanted to kind of, I don't know, you may have touched on it, or may not be a topic that's important so much to y'all, but the shooting in New York recently really was hitting home for me because I'm a security officer here.
Okay.
And that's unarmed, it's not high level, but.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. You're in an unarmed security position, yes?
Exactly. And so there's a lot of different ways that kind of personnel can be employed, but we all get, especially in New York, we get really serious training.
Okay.
They give us like high level active shooter training. They say New York is different. They've been saying that for years. So one thing I wanted to sort of opine in on was the way they're describing what happened is appalling, because you had 2 sitting ducks in that lobby.
Yep.
Who were supposed to be in a position of being able to do security. But when you have an open door, when you have a lot of these high-profile buildings, but their main door is open, and people just walk in, there's zero protection.
Yeah, there's no access control.
There's no access control. And I work in a place where they would sometimes have the door locked and sometimes not. And I was always arguing it's a high-profile tech company, globally recognized, that has a lot of positive and very negative attention directed towards it. And I'm there at the door. And they were wanting to unlock the door lots of times just for stupid reasons. And I said, that's my only defense, is having this door locked so that I can keep someone out, A, B, have time to duck around the corner to where there is some cover, and C, call for help. So they did not have that at that location. I'm outside, so sorry for the noise.
No, it sounds fine just coming in. The scenario of it sounds awful. I think what people tend to do, you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not on the ground there hearing it from local news, but people assume that you've got a moonlighting NYPD officer there, so he's got a badge and a gun and a uniform, and that's going to be enough to deter anybody from doing something dumb.
See, that's just it. That's number one. That was what I wanted to ask you about. It was he's off duty, so most of these positions are unarmed.
Wait a minute. You think
off duty, normal security officer position is unarmed, and that was one thing. I think if he had a gun, which I don't think he did.
So there was
I don't know if they're not allowed to.
Oh, you think there was an unarmed cop?
Well, yeah, because he was performing off duty. He was doing like a moonlighting job. I don't know why, because they actually get paid pretty well here. He must have been really, having a lot of family things to provide for. So he's doing this extra position, which pays a lot less than his position, even as he's 3 years in or something, 4 years in.
4 years in.
And
but he's in uniform. Do they do off duty in uniform, no gun?
He's off duty, so they often will work like without. And so my understanding is he didn't have a gun on him, because most of these positions, they don't pay for armed guards. They pay for unarmed.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. That hasn't been clarified. If he had a gun available, he could have maybe stopped this person. I'm thinking he didn't. I don't know.
That is a great, I just look, I'm not anything anymore. I'm just a guy. I don't even have a concealed carry permit, but I carry a gun everywhere I go because the Constitution's good enough in Texas. I live in America.
And New York is it's very hard to get a permit here.
I know.
Even like only cops have it, and only some business owners like diamond merchants and some, it's a real big deal. And it's not a normal thing.
You should be able to get one now, by the way. You may be, I think that actually it should, since Bruin, you should actually be able to do that now in New York.
Oh, really? Okay. I need to step on that.
So let me just clarify this for the audience that's listening. Historically, what you said is very, very true. And New York was what is called a may issue state, which means that they choose if they want to give you a permit, but they don't have to. I live in Texas, where it was what is known as a shall issue state, which means if you apply, unless they have a good reason to deny you, then they shall issue you one. Okay. But what Bruin did, the Supreme Court decided, and it might have been in 2020. I got to remember what the year was, but it was relatively recently for a lot of people's memory. Bruin said that is not appropriate. And so all states are now shall issue. Now, New York went through some additional shenanigans, so you didn't miss out on the train completely, because what they did is they said, well, okay, fine, we're going to issue anybody a permit, but we're going to say that the permit can't be used anywhere where you want to be. So a grocery store, a house of worship, a library, a federal building, a state building, a local building of government, like all the places, a train, you can't carry there. So they made that. My buddy Steven, who's part-time lawyer, part-time friend, or full-time friend, part-time lawyer for me, actually fights a lot of these cases, and they ended up winning. And so the state of New York cannot do that anymore. And so they've had to open it up. You should look into your permit situation in New York now, and it'll be
okay, because it's the next step for me for sure, just privately, not so much professionally.
Yeah, in your life, if you're rolling around in the world, and you're waiting on NYPD to show up with a 12-pound trigger in their Glock, I'd be carrying a gun of my own. That's what I would do. Everywhere. Right. And I did. When I was in New York, I always carried.
Yeah, and so my thing, it's good to know. I'll definitely look into all of that. Thank you. So my thing is that, my understanding was those officers, when they work like that, they're not working in uniform. They're not working with their gun. They're not being paid as an armed guard, which is a higher pay level. And he's by an open door. Yeah. And the other guard as well was by the turnstiles, obviously unarmed as I am, and just with nowhere to hide. He had nowhere to even duck to. Like he probably had some little low desk, if anything. I had nothing in my position, nothing to hide behind.
That's horrific. So I'm going to look into this, because I'll actually cover this. If I don't cover it tomorrow because I can't find out, then I'll try to get to it by Monday. But I will find somebody that knows the answer. My suspicion would be, even if you're not paid to be an armed guard, so they don't want to pay that rate. If you're a NYPD officer, you should be able to carry, especially if you're in weapon. If you're in uniform, you should be able to carry a weapon at all times. They may not pay you the rate for it because they're not looking for that. And there may be like but the only other thing would be is if it was through a contracting company and they had a liability clause where they don't want you armed.
They may just allow it. I think that's very possible. Yeah, because
so that's
if
possible.
You see the pictures of the gunman, like people said, oh, how could he walk around New York? He didn't walk around New York. People would have stopped that. The police would have stopped that.
Yeah, he double parked. He drove in.
Of an SUV, which probably had blacked out windows, because you see a lot of that now, even though that's supposed to be illegal. Yep. He walked across a large plaza. If he had locked doors, and he's the officer there at the doors, or been able to lock the doors, he might have been able to stop this guy, slow him down, or if he had the ability to use a gun, he might have been able to stop this guy, slow him down. As it was, they're saying he shot him in the back as he was ducking away. So that tells me he didn't have a gun. But I don't know if that's true. It just pisses me off because I've raised the flag so much about this open door thing when they've got a badge in capability, like on the tech company that I was working at.
Yeah.
Let the people use their badge. Let me have control of the door. Let me have control of this. And they were wanting to open it for many, many hours a day for no particular reason. And I'm like, you're going to get somebody barging in here, and there's going to be nothing anyone can do. And then we're in this long hallway. Like a lot of these lobbies, you're trapped. You are sitting ducks.
That is a great point.
Disgusting.
For whatever it's worth, when I was working in Washington, D.C., we had the business access, the agent and the employee access door, which was badge only. So you could go do that. And that was the furthest spot away from where the security spot was. And then the public lockable, buzzable door was directly in front of the security station where they could look in, see who was coming up to it. They're only 15 or 20 feet away from each other, but they were separated by a little bit of space. Mm-hmm. And and I do think you're right. I think that's exactly what should happen. If you're not supposed to be in a building and it's a secured access, you either have access control or you don't. If you want to surrender that, why the hell do you have a security guard? What's the purpose?
Yeah. And then I was happy that they were highlighting this and everybody that died in his service. But they really took a while for them to get around to the security guard at the other end, who was much more of a sitting duck, and who was trying to apparently shut down the elevators, but couldn't do it in time. And he had nowhere to duck to, and it just really pissed me off. And so, what else did I want to say? Oh, the governor. I saw a little news item on the way home. The governor was saying, oh, this had the top-notch security measures, so it's not that. That's not the problem. Something else is the problem. That really pissed me off because it's not true. Anyone who works in these positions knows, like, for example, in retail in New York, nobody wants to work retail security anymore because you do get attacked and you have no protection.
I believe you.
So anyway, I just wanted to put that across. It's like they're reporting it like everything was done. It could be done. This was unusual. No, BS. There's a lot of ways it could have been stopped, and it wasn't. Because people don't think security is serious.
Well, what I assumed was that, and wrongly, I assumed that security was armed. That's just, and that's my local bias here in Texas.
Generally not.
That makes a lot more sense.
Unless it's private, unless it's secret, unless it's done under the whatever. It's generally not. They don't want it. They actually don't want to deal with guns in their buildings. That
makes a lot of sense, in so much as that makes no sense in this world.
Right. In today's world. Yeah. I'm
very sympathetic to that situation. How long have you been in Brooklyn?
I've been in Brooklyn for about 30 years. I've been in New York, as it turns out, kind of by accident most of my adult life. Mm-hmm. I was born in Washington, D.C., though, so I love your D.C. stories. And I grew up around a lot of government, so it really resonates with me.
It's such a bad place. It's so sad that that's our nation's capital. And I used to drive in every day and see homeless people, that were right outside my building. And I just went, is this really... Is that how it is now? It's unbelievable.
It used to be such a pretty little city, and I kind of appreciate it even more when I moved to other places.
It's not nice anymore. I'll tell you that.
Free museums and all of that. Yes.
You go see it today. Wow. It would make you sad. It really, it makes me sad because it's just not, it's not nice. It just isn't. And it's really a shame. It's a shame that that you go there, and there's parts of it that obviously still are, but a huge chunk of DC is really, really, really bad. I always had a little bit of
everywhere in the big cities. Yeah.
That's true. And that's probably always been the case for most big cities. You just think that our nation's capital.
No, it hasn't always been the case. It hasn't. Yeah, it hasn't. It's been something of the last 15 years, 20 years. There's things that happened at a certain era in politics that people here will say, oh, yeah, that was the era where, crack showed up, with that particular administration.
Right.
And it kind of doesn't matter who it is at this point because they're all doing the bad stuff. But it's real clear. In my lifetime, I've seen such a progression of change.
I believe that.
Similar to you, maybe a little longer than you. Yeah. So.
Well, you've probably heard this, but my wife grew up in Brooklyn. She was born in Manhattan for, she was there 1 or 2 years, but grew up in Park Slope area or Boerum Hill, I think.
Are you serious?
Is that funny?
Are you serious? I lived on Union Street for 26 years.
Okay, so they were
and
right off.
I loved it because I kind of crossed over with the old community that was there. I got to hear all their stories and get all of that conversation before it kind of disappeared.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. They were on a little street. Is that right? I'm pulling up a map because I'm neurotic about getting things.
That's so cool.
Yeah, Boerum Hill. They were real close. What's the main drag that runs through there? Is it Atlantic maybe?
Well, there's Flatbush, Atlantic, Fifth Avenue.
So they were off
Flatbush.
Yeah, they used to live off State Street and Flatbush Ave was like the closest intersection.
So that's kind of
It's like maybe up 2 blocks from Barclays Center.
That used to be called Times Plaza, actually.
Interesting.
Yeah, and downtown Brooklyn, and yeah.
So I used to go when I visited my father-in-law there. I'd go for a jog down Flatbush, and I would head over to DeKalb, is that right? Over to the Fort Greene Park, and I'd go jog in Fort Greene Park. And then I would also sometimes, otherwise I would run down to Prospect Park, and I'd go for a jog in there too, and do I used to do a lot more running.
I used to ride my bike in Prospect Park. I always wanted to cross-country ski through the city, actually. But the years that I had my skis, it didn't snow, so I sold them like a dumbass, and so.
That's the way it goes. That's all right. You don't have to store them either now.
Right. Oh, and Fort Greene Park's pretty hilly. That must have been quite the run.
I don't mind the run. I do now, but I used to not mind to run.
Oh.
I do much less.
Well, thank you for all you're doing. Thanks for listening to this. And I really did want to get your opinion, at some point on the armed guard, the armed NYPD, all of that.
Yeah. I think you're spot on in your analysis as far as access control. That's definitely, if you're not going to control access, then you don't have any control, so your security is useless. I did not consider the lack of an armed guard or even an armed off-duty cop, and I'm going to reach out to some friends that are in that space. I'd probably call out Sal Greco. If you follow him, he's worth a follow for NYPD stuff. And I'll check in on him and New York's Finest and ask those guys if they think they'll know whether or not he was armed. I did not even consider that you'd have a cop in uniform but not armed, and what a silly thing.
Isn't that crazy?
It's sad. Yeah, it's just yet another example of me saying it's not America. I don't say it in a mean way. I just say it in recognizing that it's just not the America I live in.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, all the best to you and your family, and I really appreciate everything you do. I used to listen to you every morning and try to chime in, and then I kind of was like, I shouldn't really be doing this at work, so I stopped.
Well, good for you for taking your job seriously. Not everybody does that. And that's the one thing we were just talking about, too. I wonder if the guy had his head down on the phone. So I'll try to find that story out, too, if possible. It's a good reminder that if you're doing something about security, you should do security. You got to pay attention. It's a dangerous job. It has the potential of being very dangerous.
And the corporations should listen to the offices that are saying, listen, we need, a locked door. We need this, we need that.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. All righty. Well, have a good night. I hope someone else can call in. The rain's kind of stopping. I'm going to try to walk the rest of the way home. I'm sitting by a church.
I love
There's a huge Catholic church in my neighborhood, and I love to listen to the bells.
That's fantastic. Thanks for calling in. I'm glad you got through, and stay dry if you can.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Have a great night. All right, folks. There you go. Should we drop a bunch?
You just gave up a big nugget.
That's kind of a big nugget. I didn't even think about that. I honestly did not. I had no idea that we weren't talking about the same types of things, but it makes sense. Imagine not having a weapon and doing security. I cannot, I don't know how big you'd have to be to make that thing make sense, but I can't fathom it. I wouldn't want to be that person. I guess people got to do what they got to do. I'm going to give you guys what you came for, and then we're going to shut it down. Tomorrow, we're going to have on George Hill to talk about some things with maybe the worst case scenarios, stuff to think about, people who are in urban areas, people who are not. This one's for you guys. We haven't done this in 2 weeks, I guess, so enjoy.
What's your name? What? What is your name? Tony! Fuck you, Tony! What's your name? Ezekiel! Fuck you, Ezekiel! Fuck you! Fuck you! Hey, you know what I did last night? You better not bring my mother into this! You know what I did? You better not! I broke that fly over there! Oh! And I fucked your mother next to it! Fuck you, Ezekiel! Fuck you! Fuck you!
There's something wrong with all of you guys. I don't know why you love that, but it is kind of a good tradition. All right. For all the folks that called in, Jan, Dan, Zach, Renzo, Rose, and Water Baby. You don't have to give me your real name. It's fine with that. I'm good with chat names as well. Thanks for calling in, for all of you that made the show, and thanks for all of your support. Thanks for all of you that subscribe to us. Really appreciate you, especially today. I'm thinking about it, and you guys make this fun. Yeah, I was kind of in a not a great mood before we got started because my head was kind of hurting, and now I feel pretty good about it. So God bless you. We'll look forward to seeing you in the morning, 9:30 Eastern time.
Thanks for listening to The Kyle Seraphin Show, streamed live weekdays on rumble.com/Kyle Seraphin. Follow Kyle on Twitter, Truth Social, and Instagram at Kyle Seraphin.